Over a decade ago, a secret entity known as Satoshi Nakamoto conceptualized and set into motion the most innovative approach to financial value that has ever been seen in the new millennium. It was an open-sourced protocol that defined a system of ownership of digital objects that could not be duplicated, and allowed the transmission of currency, assets, and data from peer-to-peer without a single point of failure or third-party intervention on a global, decentralized network. A network that could be owned by all and controlled by none. A technical achievement so great that it was destined to change everything about society, culture, and government. It was called Bitcoin. It began the revolution. You are a part of this revolution. As the value of Bitcoin increased and the remarkable potential of its technology became more widely understood, it brought forth a tremendous wave of new cryptocurrencies, platforms, and protocols for blockchain technology. With continued growth potential, Bitcoin began its inevitable rise into real-world adoption. Crypto exchanges began to form, blockchains grew into impressive automated functionality platforms, and cryptocurrency protocols multiplied by the hundreds. It wasn't long before the first attack on the new digital asset class occurred. And then the next. And then the next. Billions of dollars in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies began to be hacked, siphoned, and intercepted from investors who did not have a safe enough place to store their cryptocurrencies. For years, investors were storing private keys on paper or leaving their cryptocurrencies on exchanges at great financial risk. It wasn't until the advent of encrypted portable storage devices that investors could feel their assets were protected. But were they? With a main focus of protecting stored ownership keys, first-generation hardware wallets struggled to maintain encryption protocols above and beyond the speed of hacker technologies. Even the most sophisticated cold storage methods, who were untouched by online attacks, endured a constant struggle to ensure the physical safety of stored private keys due to vulnerabilities in simple, physical, offline attacks. Verifying this simple fact: any method of storage that contains something of value will eventually have its contents extracted. A more elegant approach to security was needed. These first-generation wallets, while employing sophisticated encryption technologies in order to keep privately stored value as secure as possible, were under constant threat of attack due to one fundamental security premise. They stored something of value, all but guaranteeing and proving time and time again, as stored value becomes more valuable over time, it will eventually be stolen when someone wants it bad enough. Even institutional giants like the CIA and NSA, with all of their resources, are incapable of totally protecting classified data from being obtained by hackers who want it bad enough. Beyond the high probability of hacking as a threat, the threat of user error was also great. These wallets used 24 mnemonic seed encryption protocols that were pulled from a 2048 lowercase word list used to restore the wallet in case of loss of device. The user of the wallet needed to back up their randomized word list on paper or on an engraved steel plate that, if ever found or discovered, would render their devices all but useless, and at worst, their investments stolen. The first-generation devices were inadvertently rendered to their 24-word list through a clumsy security approach involving a mnemonic entanglement that needed to be protected as if it were cash or gold. These devices were also computer-dependent, requiring a computer interface to access and control funds, leaving the device open to malware attacks. Users were device-dependent, always needing the device to view or control their funds. The ongoing use of these wallets were anxiety-producing for the average user. Manual firmware updates left the user to perform a series of complicated steps that, if not performed with regularity, would halt proper function of the device, requiring the user to depend entirely on having correctly backed up their 24-word list in order to restore the device. This mnemonic seed entanglement of the device itself as part of the restore approach created a high probability of user error. as a lost or misplaced 24-word seed risked permanently locking funds into a device, like a safe without a combination to open it. With the increased threat of stealing and user error, a new paradigm addressing these weaknesses in security emerged. One that considered both convenience and security. One that utilized the power of cryptography. One with a simple premise: you cannot steal what isn't there. This new paradigm used the power and technology of the blockchain and cryptography in order to mathematically calculate private keys at the time of a transaction, without ever needing to store the keys on a device or connect to a computer to do so. It addressed the fundamental flaws of the first-generation wallets, cold storage methods, and institutions like the CIA and NSA by abiding to a simple truth: all encryption methods will eventually fail. Rather than attempt to store private keys with sophisticated encryption methods, the new approach employed the kind of security even the most seasoned attacker with unlimited resources can't penetrate. An approach so simple to use, so elegant in its impenetrable security, that it will remain absolute with the passage of time no matter how much technology and forensic tools evolve. For it will always be impossible to extract data that does not exist, becoming more relevant when the average person is able to adopt it into their everyday lives. Rich with the most intuitive, user-friendly functionality, this new paradigm ensures that adoption. It boasts a simple, user-generated passphrase setup without the need to ever be restored, with auto-device updates for the latest firmware and security, unlimited account additions, an online interface that is device-independent, a device interface that is computer-independent, eliminating the threat of malware attacks, user independence from any third-party ownership of private keys even if the device is lost or stolen through Foundation-provided online tools, and of course, an unmatched approach to alleviating user anxiety and securing digital assets. Never again do users have to worry if their digital assets are secure, or if their wallet is running the latest firmware, and dealing with messy and complicated procedures that can result in the loss of funds if not done correctly. No other approach in the world has come close to achieving this level of security and convenience. This new paradigm is known as Bitfi.